And we are live. I'm a doctor, not a dodo bird. What's up with the disappearing McCoy? Yeah. Today on episode, 345 of Trekland Tuesdays Live with me, Dr. Trek Larry Nemeczek, coming at you here from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47 and Trekland Treks for some clarity, sanity, and a bigger picture in all things Star Trek. Hey, hope everyone's Tuesday once again is going well. It's a bustly week in Trek. We've got the sun out today as opposed to the rain we had in California. I know the weather's been crazy across the country and around the world, so hope everything is good where you are. Look, if you're new to Trekland Tuesdays Live, I want to say a big welcome. I'm curious to know how you found your way here. We have a very active community. The TTLers will be all over it here in a minute. Everybody's checking in now. So if you are new, if you're lurking, that's okay too. But you could even chat and just let us know where you're coming from, how you found your way here, how things are going for you. The thing is, if you are in Facebook, you're only going to see Facebook's comments. But if you're in Twitch or especially YouTube, where, hey, I am now a super chat. And if you really have a burning question you want answered, you can cross my palm with silver, as they say. And no, I'm not making $8,000 a month from my YouTube channel with super chat, the way some Trek influencers I know are doing. And that's all good, but it's always appreciated. Your support is appreciated too. We've got all kinds of ways to support Trekland here, from our Patreons all the way up to jumping in on some of my other services we offer. But most of all, just being here with the community, with the TTLers. We've got our lifers community that still come out of the woodwork at times when we can do a live support live with my friend Dr. Ali. And of course, I have the Portales who are cross my hand with digital silver, and they're enjoying all the services in Portal 47. So I'm so glad you're here. Just remember that you may not see all the chat comments, but especially come to us in YouTube. That at least also helps the numbers. And I am here going at you. Going to talk about my soapbox for today. I know, what's that cryptic title? I'll tell you. And then we'll take a micro mini break, and then I will dive into the chat. I'll even back scroll. So you can either save your questions for later or jump in right now as something pops up as I'm saying it. But I've got kind of a soft topic today. Look, there's so much going on. For one thing, the Variety article is having repercussions. WonderCon just happened. Paramount actually had a presentation with Michelle Paradise and Otunde Osensami, the director of the finale and the overseeing director for Discovery Season 5. He also had comments to make about the Section 31 backdoor pilot movie. And that was it. It was an underwhelming turnout, but then it is WonderCon. It's kind of like the baby brother to San Diego. So that was an interesting weekend. Maybe we talk about that a little later. A lot of the interwebs right now are all caught up with, of course, the screeners, the reviews. There will be 2 hours dropping on Thursday night on Discovery's last season night. A lot to talk about there. What people thought of the show, the context of Discovery's legacy is already coming up, or lack thereof. Was it just at the right place at the right time? What is really going to be tangible out of Discovery? All that's happening. Plus, look, we're getting into summer con season. We're wondering what's up with the other series right now, Strange New Worlds. Congrats to them for the 2 Hugo nominations, which, of course, the Hugos are the oldest science fiction awards, because back when sci-fi wasn't cool, Worldcon, which mainly was 1,000 people, 1,500 people, all from the time of the late 30s, first fandom. Dramatic presentations were the last thing on their mind, because movies, maybe even that was included radio. I don't know. Did War of the Worlds, did Orson Welles' War of the Worlds get a radio Hugo? Did they even think of that in 1938? That would have been the first year or two of Worldcon. I don't know. But they're named for Hugo Gernsback, the sci-fi editor, Pulp's editor. And, it wasn't until the 50s that there was really anything decent enough to warrant a nomination. And it wasn't even, dramatic presentation wasn't even a regular award, because sci-fi mainstream lit folks, you'd have to say lit because that's all there was. There was nothing besides the print. Now you had the pulps and you had higher end sci-fi, and then of course comics. But no, it's only been the last few years, starting with, I don't know, Twilight Zone, and then Star Trek, that you had more than occasional one-off cool, good movies, good quality thinking movies. And now we do. And of course, now we have films and we have TV. So once again, congratulations to Strange New. And what got nominated? Competing against each other with other nominees? Sure. Both of the really cool episodes, right? Those Old Scientists, the animation crossover, and of course, Subspace Rhapsody. WonderCon had a Subspace Rhapsody sing-along. I didn't get to be there. I wish I'd been there. It was on a Friday night. It was a one day in, one day out for me. My friend James Kerwin and I had a great panel. So for everybody who turned out for us at WonderCon Saturday night, hung around after the Star Trek studio show, that was great to see. And I got back to the ranch Monday. This is not Trek, it's Will Rogers, but I finally got back after 2 months of our move distraction. Got back to the ranch. Exciting things coming up with our centennial there. A long string of centennials, plus the centennial of Route 66, which, did you know, is the Will Rogers Highway? You do now. 1926 was the completion date of the original Route 66, and that's coming up. But all that to say, so much going on, so much coming up, merchandise and projects going on, and it's an exciting time. And of course, last week, well, one more thing, and it's not Star Trek. But I just want to say today, I was really saddened to see passing of Joe Flaherty. Now, no, he has nothing to do with Star Trek. Didn't even, I'm sure somewhere along the way, I think maybe actually he was in a parody on Second City TV of Star Trek. I think actually he played McCoy. No, Dave Thomas played McCoy. But forget that. Joe Flaherty was so hysterical, so as the original SCTV cast, but so many of them, John Candy and Catherine O'Hara, and our original Moogie, Andrea Martin. So even Dave Thomas as the Beaver, with the brothers, the Great White North brothers, Doug and the Mackenzie brothers, and Joe Flaherty just kind of hung, and of course. Schitt's Creek. Oh my gosh. So many of the rest of the castmates from that show went on to bigger things, and Joe Flaherty didn't, and that was a damn shame. And his characters on the show, in character, Guy Caballero, who was the station manager in the wheelchair and all that. But Count Floyd's Monster Chiller Theater. I don't know. When Janet and I were dating, and I realized I was falling, and I would look at her and we'd be doing something and I'd get a little, passionate, feeling those feels. And I just kind of say, really scary, kids, because I was falling and I knew it. And for some reason, the thing that came to mind was Count Floyd's, admonition to his kid audience. When the movie wasn't so scary, and he'd say, "Oh, that was really scary, kids, wasn't it?" So anyway, and then he was in Stripes. The coolest thing was he was the dad on Freaks and Geeks that owned the hardware store, and in their Halloween episode, I know, the one season wonder that yielded so many stars. So many stars came out of Freaks and Geeks, mainstream movie stars. But here was Joe Flaherty as the dad, owned the hardware store, and on the Halloween episode. Linda Cardellini's character Lindsay and the mom got him a costume to wear, and it was a Dracula. It was a cheap Dracula costume, and he says, "Why do you always want me to wear the vampire costume?" And it was a dig on Count Floyd. Anyway, Joe Flaherty never gets the attention he deserves, never got the work and consequently the acclaim. So I'm going to take 5 minutes on my Star Trek live show to give a huge shout out to Joe Flaherty. And yes, you can go. I tweeted one clip. You can Dr. Tongue, which was John Candy's three-dimensional movie character. The horror movies that aren't quite so horror-filled. Anyway, Joe Flaherty. Oh, and he had a token 60s, 70s stand-up, like Vegas comedian, Sammy Maudlin, that had a talk show. It was really broad, way before all the talk show parodies, doing a take on an out of control Carson kind of a feeling. Anyway, the Sammy Maudlin Show, which was a great name. Anyway, if you can watch some SCTV clips, watch all of them. And yes, you'll see Catherine O'Hara years before. You'll see so many people years before you knew them. And Joe Flaherty's in there. Joe Flaherty deserves much, much more attention. So I'm going to give him a little right now. But don't worry, I'm getting back to Star Trek, and I'm getting back to the topic today. I mean, Plushie helped me at the beginning, right? Here's his throne of honor right now. No, here's the thing. We talked about the variety special last week that had so many little buried nuggets. It was clearly set up to throw out a lot of little. It was like having a mini Star Trek day. And hey, First Contact Day is right around the corner. But rather than First Contact Day, rather than WonderCon even, it was a corporate decision to use variety, and the fact that it was a trade paper, not necessarily a fandom event or a corporate event in-house, is part of that was a signal strategy to all the big meta uncertainty going on right now. Well, who's going to buy Paramount? What's the future going to hold? And even what's happening with the streaming world as one sliver of that. Are movies and TV, are brick and mortar TV and movies going to make a comeback against streaming? Is streaming just going to... All of those questions are up in the air, but everybody keeps sending signals that whatever happens, Star Trek as a property, however it's delivered, is here to stay. I mean, they're not insane. They know that's Paramount's biggest moneymaker, and they know the value of that, and they know the value of it long term. They know what the assets are. And so we got this, right? This wonderful art piece last week. Boom. And yes, I know it. Eventually people weighed in. Where's Gates? Where's Marino? Where's Crusher? Where's Troy? Out of all these characters, you've got 4 or 5 Kirks. You've got some of the characters repeated. You've got some really obscure characters in there. I know the Beverly fans are incensed that Anej is in here from Insurrection. But from Insurrection. But no Beverly and no Troy. I know. If anything, the article got tons of attention, the package. This artwork did. And of course, people love the cover. And our friends Lou and John at Fansets love the cover because that's one of their pins that was the photo model for it. And if you went to the Variety online piece or you had the physical magazine, here's what didn't get any notice. So I let everybody else, reflexively go on and on about this one if you felt like it. I'm not going to go on and on about anything, but I want to point something out. This came up at the time of Star Trek 09. I noticed some of the marketing. Now, I wasn't doing Star Trek Weekly then. I think at some point in the first couple of years we were here, this came up again. Beyond happened before I started. We've been doing Tuesdays Live here since spring of 2017. Wow, 7 years. Coming up on the 7th anniversary. And somewhere along the way before that, either in print or just guesting on somebody else's podcast, something going on. And I noticed the marketing for Star Trek 09. It was all about, you'd see, if you had the character images, right? The gallery. You had all the major characters. Yay. It was one of the strongest points. Even if you didn't care for the Kelvin universe, even if you thought it was pointless, if you even intellectually could say, okay, well, it's marking time. It's a magnet out there for some fans to find Trek. It's keeping it in the mind of all the mundane suits and all the mundane bean counters to go, oh, look, Star Trek isn't totally irrelevant. They've made movies with it, even though in the long run, it's not going to mean much for the big canon universe of Star Trek, this little stub that's never been going to be developed much. And yet, the thing that was telling about that movie started there. And I hadn't thought much about it in, 15 years now. And it all came back with this piece of art that was at least in the online. Did you see this? Did you catch it? I commented on this just a little bit for our Portales. Well, that's interesting. Boom. Why are you in a tiny circle, guys? Can we expand? That's really weird. That's interesting. How about we try this again? Okay. Okay. How about we do this? All right. Well, that's an interesting display, but I think you get the point. You get the point. We've got, let's try this. All the casted actors for each role are in this. It's awesome. It's Nimoy, right? And Quinto and Ethan Peck for Spock. And you've got Shatner, you got Chris Pine, and you got Paul Wesley here. And you from McCoy's, you have what? Oh, oh, it's not Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. It's Kirk, Spock, and Uhura. And once again, the subtle marketing point that was made during Star Trek '09 is back with us here. That's just so funny that it's not full width. I'm not going to say that McCoy has been. Plus, you don't listen to this. I'm not going to say that that McCoy has been erased. McCoy has not been canceled. But it struck me. I started thinking, I get it. If you're going to show a diverse face, bang, you can get a person of color and a woman in one package with Uhura. That's not only about marketing, that's why the role was beefed up for Star Trek '09 and the Kelvin movies, much less Celia's role as Uhura in Strange New Worlds. I get it. I'm not trying to stand in Uhura's way. And in fact, the movies, we always talk about how the original series movies develop that group cast, the whole ensemble, into more of an ensemble that we've been used to with Trek, much less media, since the 80s. Coming out of TV with the Hill Street Blues revolution, which, by the way, is one of the topics of this week's Trek Files. So you want to catch that this week with our good friend Ben Robinson from, he of Eaglemoss late, and now all new things stemming from that. Now, the ensemble effect happened to the group that started in the 60s, lead, second banana, and a bunch of other people. And that whole accounting and billing way of looking at a storytelling group evolved in the movies, of all things, when the movies would be even stricter about billing, you would think. But no, they earned it. That's why they're icons. Nichelle and George and Walter and Jimmy all earned that. And the folks doing the original series knew that. And that's why they were happy to be at the early conventions, even if they didn't get Nimoy or Shatner all the time. That's a concept that evolved in the movies. And then we started off that way with Next Gen, and ever since it's been an ensemble. So I get that. What got me thinking, though, and it's good to see, Nichelle being honored, just as George is honored. It's been a thrill to see Walter soaking up all this. Jimmy was adorable. And you got to honor all of them as actors in that 60s system, making something of the little bit they were thrown, right? It's written differently now. The Scotties and the Uhuras and all those, as they come out, much less in the Kelvin movies, but as we're seeing them dropped into Strange New Worlds, or even Discovery at the beginning, that they're beefed up. They didn't have to earn it. It was written for them. Now they're earning what they're doing with it, but I mean, they didn't have to survive with it. And all of this to say, where's McCoy? Now, Carl Urban, the other main point about the Kelvin movies, aside from they were a great placeholder for fans to find and to impress the outside world, the big point about the Kelvin movies was they were so expertly cast. I think they got really good actors of the time, different peaks in their careers, whatever. Chris Pine's Kirk, Zach Quinto Spock, up in Zoe Saldana's Uhura. But Carl Urban's McCoy, as an old McCoy guy myself, right, Plushie? That's right. Did, I think, maybe even the best job of all of balancing channeling and impersonating without being a caricature cartoon. It's a tricky balance, and they all did well with that. Some, even on an excellent spectrum, I would say some a little more excelente than others. But Carl is the one that even non-McCoy fans, even non-Trek fans go, wow, Carl Urban, McCoy, wow. And yet, not a part of this. Not a part of this. Boom. So, yes, you might say, well, Larry, there isn't a Strange New World McCoy yet. I know. And if you want to go there as a simplistic answer to no, McCoy is obviously not being erased, then now I have to confront. Let me do that big screen. I have to confront two opposing attitudes here. On one hand, I'm sitting here crying, not for the erasure of, remember the triad, the whole trinity of Star Trek? Spock is the mind, McCoy is the heart, Kirk is the action that ties them together. Remember all those easy pat explanations trying to get a handle on why the hell Star Trek is so popular and what is at the heart of it? That's a thing. That's very much a thing. So you're erasing the heart of the original series cast by not including McCoy? You know, even more so in the 09 marketing and billing. But even now, the easier answer is, well, Larry, there is no McCoy that we know of yet in Strange New Worlds. On one hand, I have the competing goal of not letting McCoy be erased or erased from the trinity, from the triad there of Star Trek. The other is, you've heard me say it, let Pike's crew be Pike's crew. Do we have to keep dripping? Is it a race? And according to Kiva Goldsman, yes, it's a race to get every single original series character in place by the time of the finale of Strange New Worlds. So, no, it's not about Pike's crew. It's about a race to the Where No Man's Gone Before line, which I'm not a fan of. I'm not going to go poo-poo the show. I'm not going to go throw bombs online. No. I'm not a toxic tuber. I never earned that license. That's pointless. Much of the rest of the entire rest of the series is so well done. And even Paul Wesley's growing on me a little bit. They're getting his hair color better. He's putting on just a touch of weight. He's not quite so spindly. But then again, we're looking at different eras of Kirk, even if it is 6 years difference. No, I have said, please, we've got a Scotty now. Can we please just hold off on the McCoy? For one thing, we need a Mark Piper before we get to McCoy. But thanks to this, I'm maybe rethinking that. I think I'm rethinking that, because if that's a reflection, I know it's just a piece of art for one article in Variety that got a lot of it, that the focus was elsewhere. And if there was attention on the artwork, it was the Where's Waldo, it was the Where's Crusher, Where's Troy, a few other ones as well. I know that's all it is. But there's the precedent from the Star Trek 09 marketing. When they had a triptych, when they had to have a tricolor tri-panel, the tri was not Kirk, Spock, McCoy. It was Kirk, Spock, Uhura. And I get that was marketing. That was showing diversity. That was smart promotion. I get that. And yet, I just don't want my guy to lose out. As long as he's well written, as long as he's written with the heart of what Dee brought to it, and Carl did so well to emulate, again, without it being a cartoon impersonation. Leave those to me, damn it. Maybe I'm ready to see a McCoy on Strange New Worlds. Maybe I'm ready to see if they just cross paths, and maybe McCoy is still married, and we finally get his canon wife's name. And maybe Joanna is, by this time, what would she be, 12, 14? If she's a graduated nurse by the time of no, she'd be a high school senior, Joanna would be. Yeah, we could finally get McCoy's wife's canon name on screen. Yeah, that's the ticket. See, I almost feel like, oh, there it is. I didn't put my set back together after WonderCon. You know, I'm always preaching texture, not trivia. This feels like preemptive texture, not trivia. I'm not critiquing something that was on screen. I'm trying to prevent something happening that's going to have me critique it later. Especially when it makes me make a 180 hard about on an attitude I have had. Now, I don't want to see a McCoy full-time lurking around because he would be like the number 3. I mean, look, Mbenga's going to be gone at some point. At some point. It could still be 3 or 4 years away in canon time. Don't know what that translates to in seasons time. So we've got an awful lot of texture to come. But if you're going to get cute, with the casting, we don't have stunt months anymore for Nielsen's. But if you're going to get cute for a little stunt bit there, let's have McCoy and Mrs. McCoy and young Joanna in a piece. And let's get someone cast as McCoy. Let's go through the motions. Again, if this hasn't already happened already. Season 3 is what, mostly done? All done? Let's get this out of the way so that I'm not saying I want to knock Uhura. Certainly don't want to knock, Zoe, much less Celia, out of the running. And we certainly don't want to knock the, the legacy there. The legacy of Nichelle. Heavens. But, yeah. I'm starting to think a new generation that's coming in may not be as up on their bonesisms as they need to be, right? Right, Plushie? That's right, damn it. I'm a doctor, not a ghost to history. No, sir. You are not. And Dee will never be, not as long as I have anything to say about it. And Chris Smith and Terry Rio and lots of other McCoy fans and DeForest Kelley fans. Dee was the first one of the cast to pass on, of the regulars, right? I mean, if you basically think of Mark Leonard as a regular, it was Gene, wasn't in the cast, but Gene first was the first hit, and then Mark passed around 96, I think, and then Dee in 99. So yes, the current generation of fans, hey, we've got Shatner here, and we were talking about his pendulum coming back. You got Walter, who's having a little renaissance on his own. George has done so much. Nichelle is hallowed. And, oh my God, of course, Leonard. And Jimmy has Beam Me Up Scotty, the twinkle in his eye, the Scottish accent. Everybody, Chris is here to boost his dad's legacy. No one's going to forget Jimmy Doohan or Nichelle or George or Walter. And I'm not saying people are going to forget DeForest Kelley. But if you look at the spectrum of the living and those who have passed, Dee is the quietest. Well, I do my little bit here from time to time. I let Plushie out of the box occasionally. It's all right. To sound off. I know there's plenty others out there. I mentioned Chris Smith, the author and former assistant to Dee and Carolyn Kelly. And no, I am not gloom and dooming. I'm not conspiracy swinning. I don't have my tin hat guys on right now. I know that piece of art was not a grand conspiracy. If at the very least there is no third McCoy. There is no third McCoy. Don't you think I know that? There will be, but not right now. No. But it did trigger something just a little bit in me, and a little, I'm not going to say PTSD, a little memory of what passed through my consciousness watching the promo for STO9. And for somebody that, again, took what he was given and even got to star, above the line billing by into first season. Dee Kelley and what he did with McCoy and where McCoy started out. Not part of the plan. Yes, I'm always going to sound the trumpet for Gene Kuhn, who passed way before his time. Bob Justman, who was around much longer, and we have much more of Bob on film and paper and commenting. But still, the original series gang have been gone so long, all of them. Very, very few survivors left. And if they were young juniors at the time. I'll do that. I'll do that, and I will speak up for it today, even though, of course, we're enjoying all the new shows. Of course. Everybody's entitled to the third version of the original series cast. It's going to happen. I just initially didn't want it to happen in Strange New, but you know what? Maybe we shouldn't wait. Maybe we need the new generation McCoy in place sooner than later. I don't know. What do you think? Now, I am not going to be the old man on the lawn, right? I'm a doctor, not an internet meme. No, we are not going to be the old man yelling on the lawn about this. I just wanted to put it out there. All right. And hey, gang, you're not hearing anybody else on the interwebs going on that one, are you? There you go. Not the same-o. There's plenty out there to get into, and we are looking forward to it for weeks to come. Again, including the Discovery premiere. I got to finish my my second opinions for this week. There'll be a twofer since they're releasing 2 episodes in one. I don't have my hold-up card unpacked for second opinion, but you can look for second opinion coming this weekend sometime, right? It's my react. Hey, it's not a hot take. It's not a quick take. It's a second opinion from Dr. Trek. A couple of days later after the dust settles. Can't wait to get back into that. What I really can't wait, though, is to have more of what I did Friday. We had our first Trekland Treks of the year. So Scott and his son Ryan were down. We went to, the weekend, it's Tillman is currently closed on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I know. So we couldn't make it to Tillman, but we did get out to Vasquez, of course. We recreated not just the Gorn fight, but everything else that's out there. We got to one of the quarries from DS9, and we went to the bird sanctuary, which I had not scouted until this trip. So I love learning more and more and gaining more insights about, the production and what was going on in the minds of those who were shooting. Trekland Trek, just check it out. You can get there from my site, or you can go to treklandtreks.com. It's your custom away mission. Don't confuse it with the set tours back east. This is outdoor locations around SoCal. There's over 50 of them now. Thank you, Picard, for being shot back in LA again. It's the only one likely to happen in a long time. It was good to get back out there. We had one rain cancellation in February, but this wound up being the first. And the phones are starting to ring. So if you've ever thought about doing it, give me a yell. We'll take email too. And of course, can't do this without all our Patreon folks. So I want to thank our TTL Club, as always. Hey, Diana Hopkins, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Joshua Patton. I'm getting emotional, guys. I'm getting emotional. No. Justin Porteous, Galinda Bruton, Chris Jiggins, Pranakasha Productions, Comedy Forecast, and Andrew Jasimski. Thanks, all of you. And, of course, our live wires, Robert McNeil, Byron Bailey, J.R. Poole, Halbert Gunjansson, Alan Hohensi, Dave Gregory, Tobias Rex, Galinda Bruton, Greg Wickstrom, and Casey Shafsky. Did I say Galinda again? Donna S. Runyon. I am so sorry, Donna. Good grief. Our new folks. It's been a couple of months now. I got to quit calling you our new folks. But I want to thank everybody equally. If you're wanting to help us out, we just started a new month. So it'll take a while, but very simple $5, $10 levels for a shout out. My thanks. And yes, I'm overdue to catch up some more of our Portal 47 first generation backstage creatives interviews, behind the scenes folks, with the last few folks in our second tier there, our $10 tier. But it's patreon.com, did you even see, /Trekland Live. I appreciate that. I appreciate it big time, just as much as I appreciate it when folks, did anybody ching in? When folks drop in for a super chat question. And I will scan real fast and see if there's any there first in just a second, because we're about there. I'm doing this for all the folks that are going to see this on YouTube later. So I'll just say, if you're somebody who's seeing us later on, make sure and try to come by Tuesday sometime. 1-ish Pacific on Tuesdays. And yes, even the Europeans can jump in and watch us before midnight. That's happening. So I encourage you to drop by if you can you do that. And I also encourage everybody to go over and catch this week's, I mentioned, Trek Files is up with our good friend Ben Robinson, late of Eagle Moss and all your little ships and books and all kinds of new material coming. The companies that are taking up the licenses in the wake of Eagle Moss's demise are starting to make themselves apparent. And even more kinds of merch than ships and books and badges. You want to hear us talk about it? He's our guest this week. Most of all, the doc of the week is the early plans for Troy. And I don't even mean the 6 breasts. I mean, even past that. And again, how Ensemble TV's revolution in the 80s was affecting the early roots of what TNG would be and how it would be different in all the ways from TOS. So please go and catch the Trek Files wherever you catch your fine podcast every week, or there with our documents. Only place you can get those on our page on Facebook, facebook.com/the Trek Files, as we say. Meanwhile, I am so thrilled to see everybody back here with us. Look, if you're with me live, hang on, I'll be right back. And if you're watching us later on YouTube, hey, check out everything at Trekland I was just talking about. And catch me on socials. Please like and subscribe right here if you haven't done it already. You can also catch it on Instagram. My Twitter X is still there, Larry Nemechek. And yeah, Facebook too. And if you're really curious, go look at portal47.net and jump in with us. It's a mini-con all year long. Other than that, gang, I'm going to say, weird bugs are in the air out there. So, do all the things. Stay healthy. Stay woke. Check the sources. It's getting thick. And trek well. Oh, that tastes good. Boy, I thought I was channeling Jackie Gleason there for a second. Not going to stick my finger in the thumb. And that's for all you old timers. So here we are, back scrolling, and seeing who all is here. Good to see everybody. Christoph and David and Justin and Joel. Now I don't know about this handle. This is your YouTube. Oh, Joel. Yeah. Okay. I didn't recognize it. So if you're coming over on YouTube for the first time, yay. Glad to see everybody. The tide is turning to YouTube. So glad to see that. Daniel, hey, I think is this your first time since we've been back after our nearly 2-month hiatus? Good to see you. Hey, Chuck A, good to see you too. And everybody getting your hellos in here, early one in. Dominic, you watch your emission log? Hey, I would be curious. This is awesome. Thank you for that. I was on Mission Log Live last night. I'm curious to know exactly why you say that. Was there a topic that we touched on, or just in general? Can we tell me once we catch up? If you're still with me, can you tell me? I'm always collecting. Got to keep my ears to the ground. Know what's getting everybody. Hi, Scott. Always good to see you, sir, in the chat. Hey, but it's John too. So yay, John. Sydney, glad to see you're here bopping around with us too. Glenn's here. Everybody's here. Yes, John, I didn't get into the recent I don't say politics, but the recent organizational struggles here, what's happening. So yeah, Star Trek had not been, and you know what? And Picard got no. It's almost, I'm going to say, the lit snob factor at the Hugos maybe poo-pooed Picard because it was only the next generation, and yet the innovation of having the animation overlap with Lower Decks, or the innovation revolution of the musical show, and have it be not just stamped on top of the show, but actually have it be ingrained in the plot. The sci-fi scientific MacGuffin is actually explained for the singing, and they're conscious of it, and they're embarrassed by it. That was all brilliant. That was all brilliant. I mean, the songs are brilliant, and people are going to singing the songs forever. But the whole premise of why a musical was amazing, and then even to mention it the next week. Yes, yes, yes. And of course, Dr. Dave, if you're in the greater Phoenix area, you want to go by the ASU's space science departments there that Dr. Dave's in with. And yes, the UFP there, United Federation of Phoenix, are screening again. So there, you know what? I've gotten bad about keep so many damn shows and casts and creative crews and now lists of award nominations. It's not a one of a time thing. So gotta get back there. I'm sorry, Christoph. What can I do? Is that Central European EMP pulse time there getting to you? The 7-minute delay. So sorry. Hey, John. Yeah. Ooh, really scary, kids. It is. Ooh. Oh. What do you mean, kids? What do you mean that wasn't scary? Why, sure that was scary. Hey, let's see you try to order a movie every week now. So underrated and so underused, Joe Flaherty. My heart just, oh boy. Dave, good to see you, sir. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, Melanie, no, you didn't miss much. You're just fine. Look, guys, I can't explain what's happening with the tubes. I can't do that. Well, thank you, Chuck. It's good to hear from you. Well, Carl, yeah, see, and my friend Hudgens, oh my gosh, did a documentary on the local, every local market, one of the stations, maybe two, but almost every local market had their local. That's where I should say Vampirella. We had so many of them come. Svengoolie has gone mainstream too. Like you said, yeah, creature features. I'm just always upset at him, though. He didn't do Oklahoma City's Count Gregor. And we still have John Ferguson with us. He's still very much 10 years ago been able to talk on the documentary. He could talk right now. I want him to do John Hudgens, I want you to do an addendum right now. And I don't know that, I can't remember now if he got to Joe Flaherty just for fun to have him talk about Count Floyd. But yes, that Count Floyd honored that tradition of the local that just became a thing. Glad everybody is catching up here and getting your heads. I love being a hub for you chat folk. I don't have my own chat pack, but I think we're close to it. Hey, Diana, good to see you, of course. But sorry you folks are having tech issues. Yes, that's one word for it, John. Epic. So much news from one source at one time. And again, I'm saying I think there was a lot of corporate strategy going into that. Corporate from the high end as well as just promoting the shows. Mm-hmm. Well, awesome. Somewhere D is smiling. William. Happy Harriman, may your tractor beams be installed on a Tuesday. What are we combining there? We're combining a little bit there. Yes. Yeah, that was cute. Variety answered its own question from the cover. Absolutely. Hey, Michael. Michael, is this your first time dropping by? But thank you for sharing the obit there. But hi, Michael. I don't know if I've seen your name before. I'm glad you dropped by. Curious how you found your way here, or if you've been by before, just been lurking, that's cool. Yes. And hey, preach it, John. Preach it. A lot of SCTV skits, but he was the least successful after the show. He had that cameo in Stripes, which I almost felt like, here's Harold Ramis, in Stripes. Oh, yeah. Well, you don't want the screenshot of my screen. I don't know why it was compressing. That was interesting. Yeah. Oh, that's right, Scott. So our 11-year-old hero, Beatrice, who's the newest sensation in the vendors' rooms, if you didn't see my YouTube with her, you need to go see it. And her favorite character was Dr. McCoy. So real, what do we say that? Wise beyond her years there. She's an old soul in the best way. You betcha. You betcha. I don't know if I the first day or two, when I was on the Star Trek Continue sets, and we had so many college-age kids working on crew and doing a hell of a job, I should say. It wasn't a giggle-gaggle. And in fact, they were doing better work than some of the adults, but don't say that. And everybody kept telling me as I was, fitting and trying on things, everybody kept saying, oh, I love McCoy. And I'm like, guys, you don't say that just because it's me. And they were like, no, McCoy is my favorite character. And I just thought of D when I told him I wanted to do his autobiography 3 years before he died at the 30th anniversary con. I told him finally had a real sit-down interview with him, because this was still the 90s, guys, and my career was still young and being national with it. And I said I wanted to help him write his autobiography. He was the only one that hadn't done it by then. And he said, no. And of course, Terry wound up doing it with Carolyn's help, but after Dee passed, but with the resources of the family, all those boxes in the garage. And I said, well, now that I've said that, I'm going to say it. You've always been my favorite. McCoy's always been my favorite character, and you've always been the actor that I wanted to sit down to dinner with. And he said, well, where were you years ago when I could have used that with Bill and Leonard? And which I always thought was funny. But it struck me how many lurking closet fans or McCoy fans who don't feel the need to get out and write fan fiction so much, or in comparison to the Kirks and the Spocks out there. I think McCoy's fandom was the epitome of armchair fandom in many ways. And yeah. So Scott, yes, thank you for that nod. I should have remembered that. Yeah, Narda, you're with me. I know you're with me. Yes, and hi from the Outback. Well, see, once you go down that, how do you? Yeah. So there's no room for everybody anymore. Well, it was a good idea. Maybe you just do it with the individual characters and you don't try to go for the Spectre of the Gun lineup. I don't know. It's Monday morning quarterbacking is so easy. It's like, here's what I would have done. I know. This is probably true. I'm gonna this is why I love having my global Trekland folks here. Yeah, all the folks that dubbed them over the years. Hey, Don, good to see you with us today too. And absolutely comedy. Carl was brilliant as McCoy. Well, this is what I eventually admitted to, John, but that doesn't explain the Star Trek 09 marketing that this seems to have triggered in me somehow. I know. I can see two Kirks yet one Pike. Really, this is interesting. Hi, Michael. Same to you. Right? I'm back scrolling. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you hung around. Maybe if you hadn't been by before, you're really going to hang out with us now for a while. On a Sunday morning kids show out of NYC called Wonderama and talked. That was the early 70s. Oh, cool. He must have known someone or somebody, or he was in town for something or something, maybe. Yeah, Don. I don't think we need to redefine it. It was kind of, if we have newer fans that aren't aren't aware. All those kids that can't stand to watch the 60s show. But, I think you get that sense if you watch the screen. And, after Kirk and Spock in the Kelvin movies, McCoy kind of came and went. I think he's kind of squeezed instead. And back with a vengeance for Beyond, which is why Beyond's, well, like I have to tell you why Beyond is a better movie than Stid. But, yeah, Narda, this is what I came to. The blessings of the Kelvin movies, they were a placeholder so that there wasn't a vacuum. Now, I feel like we still had a vacuum of 12 years on small screen, which is where Star Trek really matters, and the movies are gravy. I'd love for them to be more than gravy if we can get there, but they've got to be intelligently handled, and someone's got to get their act together right now. And if somebody can pioneer a new way, a new insight, a new niche for the movies, I said ages ago I wanted to see like American Horror Story. I'd love to see the same cast playing different characters in different times. And if they're not going to take Brian's idea as a series, then do it as a movie series. Except that movies have so much at risk. There's so much at stake with a one-off thing. Not, well, we had one bad episode out of 10. One thread that didn't work. It's all or nothing with a movie. And that's why it's hard to think about risking movies on unknowns unless you're going to think of the TV movies. So there's so much in flux, which was part of our discussion last night on Mission Log. If you haven't gone over to see the Mission Log recording from last night, it's live. It was a good one, I think. And not just because I was had some great callers too. Oh, hashtag silly Paramount. Yeah. Kicks are for trids. Oh, I know it, Christoph. I know it. I was just initially holding it off till the end. I want to know who Mark Piper is. He better look like some old Western sheriff. Oh, Melanie, you just want it all. just make it short and sweet. There we go. Hey Dominic, are you answering my question? You were rewatching the Tom Snyder tomorrow. Yeah, it's been popping up again. It's interesting. Tom Snyder's tomorrow show, the Star Trek special. It was earlier than 79, I think. Wasn't it more like 77 or something? Anyway, they told Tom the fans demand that they are all involved. Yes, Deanne, Jimmy, and Walter were all fierce and smoking because it was New York and late night. Yeah. The whole interview was so thoughtful and sincere. It was a great reset to revisit. Yeah. And it was a breath of fresh air aside from the cigarette smoke. It was a breath of fresh air right then because we were heading into it wasn't like half the world gets Star Trek and the other half just makes fun of it. It was still more like a third of the world gets it and 2/3 is still making fun. So Tom Snyder doing that in all seriousness with a serious tone, that was, I don't say it was groundbreaking, but it was such a great tone set for a whole new group of people that were going to be sucked in by the movie, the movie advertising soon. The big budget, big epic movie budget so soon. Oh, Don, I will preach. If you get me there's so much that it's like, You get me wound up on something, I'll preach till the cows come home, whatever planet they're on. Have they said streaming late 2024 already? That was a question. I didn't know if it would squeeze in this year or they would hold it till next. So there you go. I kind of agree with you, Scott. And nothing against the actors. The Scotty casting is better than the Kirk casting out of the gate. And I think the Scotty casting is like halfway between Jimmy and you know who. I think it leans into him. They've got him thinner and thinner haired, and Scotty needs more hair. He needs a comb over. Just not happening. Someone's going to scream. This is what I said for years before the JJ movies. I said if they ever do, people are like, who would you recast as the cat? I never cared about that. But the one that first time I saw Gary Sinise in Forrest Gump, I said, holy smokes, he should be playing McCoy. He looks just like D. And he's got the gravel, and he can go Southern. His hair, his face, his countenance, his vibe. He can carry off the whole McCoy attitude. It was like the visual and the vibe, both. I was like, oh my God. And it will be a crime if, I don't care what his politics are. He's at least not out there rip-roaringly ugly about it at all. But I just think at some point in his life, he needs to play McCoy at some point in his life. It'll be a waste. It'll be the biggest waste of all if Gary Sinise never gets to play McCoy in some form or fashion, in some era. Well, Michael, this was, I mean, yes, I know all this. I mean, the bottom reason is, the main reason is because there is no new McCoy. There's not a third McCoy yet. And if you're talking about the ST09 artwork, still, I get it. They were totally finding a woman, finding a female, much less finding a person of color. Wham. It was a two. It was like certs. It was 2 promos in one, 2 demos in one. And I get it. It was just a shock. But it was also a marker. It was also a sociological marker to show where we were, where we'd come since the 60s. I mean, I get it. I'm not oblivious. It just threw me. I'm not looking at it as a zero-sum game where I'm trying to knock Uhura and Zoe or Nichelle. I'm just trying not to knock McCoy or D or Carl. Well, yeah. But here's the thing, Jerry, and hi again. Rand was supposed to be the third ranking character. Rand was supposed to be the top of the below second. She was supposed to be the third banana. And you can see that in the casting sheets. You can see that in the very early descriptions. So that's that way because that was the intention at the time. I know. Absolutely, Sean. Yes. You got it. And I'll let you say it out loud. Oh, that's right. We're a week away from the solar eclipse. People are worried about the cloud cover. The Yuri's Night crowd has all gone to Austin to have an event there. So there's no Yuri's Night here this year in LA. You mean to tell me? That was quite a thing you told me. The Abbey Road cover isn't part of a conspiracy as well. Sorry, Carl. I hate to be the one to bust your bubble. Oh, thank you so much, Chuck. Have I made any plans about Vegas? No. I'm just trying to get out of this move tunnel, which we're working on. Oh my gosh. Well, I hope to talk to you before then too, Chuck A. Well, thank you, Narda. Again, I'm not getting up and screaming. I'm not going to take over the interwebs today. I'm not going to flood the stream waves. I'm just saying it struck me as someone who's looked at Star Trek in the beginning and is used to Crookspot McCoy, and that was a hard-earned third place. It throws me. But you can't say that without making sure people know that you're not knocking Uhura, much less any of the talents and the forces for good that have played Uhura since then. Yeah, your new and improved vendor's table. All right, Chuck. Hey, Dominic, D was amazing in that Tom interview, Tom Snyder. You're thinking Tom Tomorrow, the snarky internet socials cartoonist, I think. It's Tom Snyder, and it was the Tomorrow Show. Before there was a late night. There was the Tonight Show and the Tomorrow. Yeah, it was the Tonight Show and the Tomorrow Show before it became the late, because Letterman didn't want to have Tomorrow and take over Tom Snyder's vibe. He wanted a totally different vibe. So they gave up using Today and Tomorrow on NBC and went with Today and The Late Show. Or Late Night. Late Night. He said reading Westerns, you could easily get it, but with Star Trek, every script was a surprise. He brought up the Deadly Years as an example, saying, here your character is 100 years old. Go and inspect the new Enterprise. Thank you, Scott, for this YouTube clue. I wonder what that is. Is it the Tom Snyder or is it something of mine? And here's another one. This is the same thing again. I wonder what it was. Everybody, you'll find out. It's either something of mine or it's the Tom Snyder clip. Adam, glad you could drop by today, too. Good to see you. Well, William, McCoy, not DeForest Kelly McCoy. That would be something. Pocket may eventually get around to doing the autobiography of McCoy, the way they've done the captains. Melanie, you got it. How sweet it is. All right, Sammy, a little traveling music, if you please. Yeah. Back scrolling. Our parrot's dead now. Yes. This is an X chat stream. Rose, hi. It's always good to see you pop up. And the chat, Pat. Yes, first contacts days in 72 hours. We're coming up there. Oh, look at you guys giving your age away. Crazy Guggenheim. Absolutely. Stefan, hello. Now I know, I'm trying to think where we know. You don't shoot me. In live action, right? In real time. But glad for dropping by. I'm glad you made it here. Stuart, hey. I hope things are going well for SciFiCon. It's coming up pretty fast, right? Everybody, best little con in the country there at there's lots of best little cons in the country. And the best one in that part of the country is SciFiCon in Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana. Hey, Stefan, what's this channel all about? What's this country coming to? What's this channel all about? Star Trek. Maybe somebody else will chime in. Surprised they didn't use McCoy for the hologram doctor. Well, William, they would have had to have had an actor cast to be D, or if they didn't have the tech to just go get D out of old episodes. Now they probably could do that. Just capture him from the film and do a CG with it. At the time, if you're talking about DS9 or Voyager in the original run, yeah. Hey, Halbjorn, good to see you here, and thank you for being a Patreon. Yes, the documentary was called American Scary. My friend John's documentary that has everybody in the book except Count Gregor from Oklahoma City. Yeah, Elvira. How do you forget Elvira? I keep blaming it on the move, everybody. I just lost some brain cells in the move. That's all I'm saying. Hey, Robert, good to see you, and thank you for Patreoning. Yep. Okay, I know where you're coming from. Well, I knew anyway. Yeah, Count Gregor and John. I am thrilled that, well, he was inducted first, but you know what? I have not unpacked my speculative my Nucleon Award as an inductee of the Speculative Fiction Hall of Fame of Oklahoma. But John Ferguson was inducted the first year, he and CJ Sherry. And he is very much still with us and very much still comes to SoonerCon. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for the support. And thank you for being a Trekophile spelled with an F. You'll enjoy this week's too, I'm sure. But thank you, sir. Okay, Dominic, here's your analysis and review. Super sharp, no gaps, and great discussion about the future of Trek and streaming. Then when Nami showed up talking all about the psych in Trek, absolutely. Even some Love Boat talk for April Fools. If you enjoyed that, you have to go check out all of our Life Support Live 2 years worth of back catalog content, and then a couple of the specials that Dr. Ali and I just did. We did our second one, special reunion for Virtual TrekCon, and we did our first live on stage, shrunk format, but we had a live with in front of an audience with Sirach at the Star Trek San Francisco. Hashtag STSF. You agree with me that the Love Boat was very budget when paired with the far superior and creative Fantasy Island. Are you being sarcastic? They got a deal. They got a deal with Pacific Princess for filming on that boat. Are you kidding? They didn't have to build any sets. Well, they did. They built the cabins, but they got to use the other. There you go. See, Melanie, everybody can list off the horror hosts, the local horror hosts. Yep. Humboldt County. See, everybody, every market, large and small, had that host like that, because then they could go out and make appearances, right? Wonderama. You had the novel verse. Yeah. Oh, wait, William, you're too kind. You're too kind. Let's see here. Yes, MLL is Mission Log Live. Absolutely. Thank you, Christoph. I just went blank on Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg, who I love. I love Simon Pegg. I love all of his comedy, his quirky sense of humor, right? I just didn't think he was the right choice for Scotty for the movies. I think, and I've gone blank on I don't know his name. The new actor playing Scotty is far closer to Jimmy than Simon Pegg was, but it's still, there are parts of him that lean that way. He's too young, though. He's too young to be Scotty. Scott of the big four, Scotty was the oldest. He and McCoy were contemporaries. It's just, and it's not a fake universe, so it needs to be prime. This has been, Daniel, I've been sucked into this. I've watched, and some of them aren't Trek fans. Some of them are just YouTubers, and some of them tend to be attractive girls, young women. But I've gotten sucked in because most of the time they're not shallow. Most of the time there's a little something going on up there. And it's always interesting to see anybody's fresh take on an old Trek. I'm going to look forward to watching Cadet Alice's reaction. We did watch the Tribbles, but we just watched the Tribble scenes. So I knew she wouldn't get the background. But the more she watches Prodigy, and there are references to the original series and Next Gen that I have to explain to her just in passing even. I had to tell her about the neutral zone and Romulans and what all that was about. So Prodigy's even getting younger viewers back into the older series that way, surreptitiously. But yeah, all of these YouTubers that weren't fans are becoming Trek fans because they see it's not just Star Wars. It's not just Doctor Who or Harry Potter. Well, probably a lot of them aren't Who fans either. That may be their next stop. But, that's not Marvel and it's not Star Wars. And those are all cool, but it's its own thing for all the different reasons we talk about. And what are you saying here, Michael? What you like about this time of Trek Talk? This time, you mean this era? Or do you mean my hour or Mission Log or whatever? You like hearing from writers and other production people on Bolts the Night. Where have you been, Michael? This has been my life mission for 30 years. Get thyself over to Portal 47 right now. I mean it. Others may have fantasized on being Kirk. You wanted to be Gene Roddenberry. Oh, look at you. Yeah. I wanted to be Bob Justman. Are you kidding? Yeah, work myself into the early grave. No, Bob had a great long life. It just felt like it from reading those memos, those exhausted memos. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, yes. Late. Dr. Demento. Dr. Demento. Oh. No, I'm not. Rob. Art Bell. No. I'm fine not talking about Art Bell. Yeah, it made the rounds. It's a good little documentary. He was another one of the early low-key indie documentarians that I got advice from. And I'm in, if I'm not in American Scary, I'm in something else he did, which I can't remember. A lot of people preferred Fantasy Island to Love Boat. Love Boat was like so. I mean, they were both a haven for former TV stars to come in and have a guest spot occasionally, right? Henry Gibson, Charo. I mean, go down the line. Sherman Hemsley, if they were on a lark from their network show, even if it was still happening. But Fantasy Island always had more cachet than Love Boat, which is why it's so hysterical that John and Norm and all of them have the Love Boat thing happening over there. Yes, I think it was the Con effect. Well, yeah, again, I don't want to knock Simon Pegg, but I'm with you, Narda. It's like, that was the one disappointment in the casting. And again, not saying anything about, my God, the brilliance that Simon Pegg. And he had Beyond on his shoulders, along with, I forgot the actor. TOS Scotty became so old because of all the hard work for Jim, right? Miracle workers don't come along with miracle doctors. Yeah, Scotty was the miracle worker, not McCoy. McCoy just had the smarts to carry off the instant research needed in 48 minutes. That's funny, Christoph. Yeah. Well, gang, I think we're at the end of the chat. How about that? I think we are. It's been a good chat. I'm glad seeing some new faces. Michael, glad to see you come by. If anybody is lurking there in the chat, hey, it's fine. You come lurk every week with us, but eventually you can pop up. And if you are watching later, again, you can leave a comment too. It doesn't have to be the live chat. The chat comments are open there on YouTube as well. Gang, I think that's going to do it for another Tuesday. We're going to see what happens when that Discovery two-fisted entry rings up. I posted some pictures from WonderCon and Tunde and Michelle's panel. It wasn't a big room set up, and it was only about 2/3 full. But what was sad to me was a bunch of the writers were there. It was great to see them somewhere besides on a picket line. A lot of them I met on the picket line and hope to be talking to, especially now that the spotlight, as soon as the season is ended and no one's caring about spoilers, and actually talk to a lot of them in old school ways. It was a great WonderCon. I didn't get to see a lot of the seats. I missed a lot of people. It was only one day in and one day out for me. It was raining and monsooning and a little on the miserable side, but people were having a great time indoors. It's the little brother in many ways to Comic-Con. I've never been there 2 days in a row, but it's manageable. A lot of people would prefer that to the mobs, and it's smaller than Vegas even, I would say. But the vending room is big because it's got so many people there. Don't know that there was a lot of buying going on. Our friend Miles at the Triple Booth was saying it wasn't the most buyingest of crowds, even as the crowd was not a bad crowd. There's your WonderCon report. And this is your Trekland report saying, I am so glad you're all there. Hey, if you enjoyed today, think about maybe joining some of our existing Patreons and my very, very low-key little Patreon. I'd love to have you join us there. It's only $5 and $10 a month. You might want to keep your eye on this. 2024 may be bringing some changes, some evolutions in everything Trekland. And as the year goes along, we just may be talking about some of them, bringing them out to you. But one thing's not changing is I love doing Trekland Treks. It was so much fun to get back in the tour guide and wrangler mode. We had a great time. No traffic problems. We dodged the rain, thread the needle that day. It was great. Climbed gravel pit piles. Tracked the forest fire in Griffith Park a little bit. I mean, so many layers to Trek location tracking. And it's why the Trekland Treks, it's like everything I try to do, it keeps me fresh. And of course, the thing that really keeps me fresh is doing our Trek Files. Loved having Ben Robinson back with us this week. Fun topic. Trek Files has been getting a lot of attention from a lot of new eyeballs lately. Some of our recent documents, we had Rod on last week. Some of our recent topics and the documents have been getting, I thought they were just more of what we always do, but the interest is peaking. And we're wrapping up our 11th season. We've only got a couple of weeks to go before Trek Files hiatus. So we're here every week, pert near, and I'm here all the time. Larry Nemechek on Twitter X. It's Larry's Trekland. Right now, go and subscribe if you haven't already right here. And share that, ring the bell. Yeah, Facebook, and yes, Instagram. A lot of stuff is happening on Instagram. It's fun. Portal47.net if you want a mini con all year long, no matter where your own center seat is. That's going to do it for us, gang. Please, 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 please. We'll see you next Tuesday. We'll see what happens with Discovery. Be looking for Second Opinion coming this weekend. It's a twofer, 2 hours in one. And we'll see you next Tuesday, gang. Lots going on. We'll be talking about it all year long here. Super chat or no. And, just stay healthy, would you please? Do all the things. Stay woke. Check your sources. Watch for the fake stuff. And trek well, everybody.